Let's see what is going on with QAnon. So nothing new. So, excuse me. Oh, I guess, oh, here we go. I got this QAnon. As a victim of success, GitHub suddenly terminated access for QAnon.pub. Until access is restored, you can use any of the other sites and backups, such as QAnon, boom, Bitbucket, QClearance, Patriot, Q. Republicans have now won 8 of 9 House seats, yet if you listen to the fake news media, you would think we were being clobbered. Why can't they play it straight? So unfair to the Republican Party, and in particular, your favorite president. 5 by 5. 5 for 5. Project Veritas. How they handle attacks. So that's the latest Q updates. And pause this and we'll go to the other news. I'm just going to show you how much Bitcoin has been in news today.
It's time for Futures in Focus, and a blow for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies today. That's as the SEC postpones a decision on allowing a Bitcoin ETF. Let's bring in Bill Barrock of Blue Line Futures, who's at the CME. Bill, I mean, once again, this is just throwing cold water on some of the bulls out there, and it's been a knock across many a coin.
Yeah, we're seeing the $6,000 level in Bitcoin being hit once again. It's hit it 3-4 times. Each bounce has been less unenthusiastic than the other, and that's worrisome. You know, ultimately, you look back on a technical basis, back where this thing really started ripping in the second half of last year, and there's this support here. And I look at Ethereum, there's this support there as well, aligning with Ethereum in the 400s, high 400s. At some point, in the second half of
real quick. See where we're right. It's almost linear to a little bounce. So, and I'll show you something.
Last year, and there's this support here, and I look at Ethereum, there's this support there as well, aligning with Ethereum in the 400s, high 400s. At some point, if it keeps testing, it's going to break. I do remain longer-term bullish, and now I believe the SEC has until the end of September to confirm or deny moving forward with a Bitcoin ETF. I do think, you know, they can, all things considered, you're going to see something positive come from this, and I think Bitcoin's going to have its day once again, but I am very worried in the near term. How could you not be?
Bill, remind us why SEC approval for an ETF would be so important for Bitcoin's wider adoption and indeed investment.
Well, it gives that sign off on the regulatory agency, and regulatory headwinds have been the key reason why Bitcoin has been going down. It will open the doors for larger adoption. You'll see institutional adoption, and potentially, you may not be seeing people pay with Bitcoin to go to 7-Eleven and get a Slurpee, but ultimately that institutional adoption, and then the adoption of blockchain on other aspects. You're already starting to see blockchain adopted across many facets of institutional as well as administrative levels. But this will, again, give it that quote-unquote sign-off and allow it to be adopted on a larger basis. I mean, ultimately here, it's there's news on a daily basis on Bitcoin. I mean, you can pay attention to it, but is it really that important? That's the question. I mean, if you're in it and you're invested in it, you're invested for the long term. I really personally do not care about the $500 swings in Bitcoin on a day-to-day or a week-to-week basis. If you believe in it, you buy it, close your eyes, and see where it is down the road here in another 12, 18 months.
Because the US Senate Intelligence Committee has sent a letter to Julian Assange asking him to testify on alleged Russian meddling in America's 2016 presidential election. Well, let's get more details now from Anastasia Chorkina, who's following the story for us from London. Anastasia, good afternoon to you. Just go through them. What exactly is in this document?
Well, Andrew, indeed, the U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee has sent a letter to the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where, as we all know, the WikiLeaks publisher has been holed up for the last 6 years. This letter is addressed to Julian Assange, basically calling upon him to testify in what is being described as a closed interview at a mutually convenient time and location. Now, given we all understand Julian Assange has made it clear he has no plans to be leaving that embassy anytime soon out of his own free will, potentially this is going to be some kind of question and answer session that is probably going to be taking place via some kind of web link. Now, to be clear, the committee has clarified that the topic of this testimony would be Russian interference in the U.S. elections of 2016. And we have seen the WikiLeaks or Julian Assange's legal team already react to this letter, saying they would be open to this kind of testimony, but it must conform to a high ethical standard. So we'll be keeping an eye on when exactly this happens and whether or not some kind of information comes out of what is discussed.
Sure. Why does the US believe that Assange should be central then to their investigation into those alleged actions by Moscow?
Well, this seems to fall into this U.S.-led narrative that has been circulating widely, especially in mainstream media, basically saying that Russia had something to do with the U.S. elections when Donald Trump came to power, and that Julian Assange had a part to play in that. Because as we know, of course, just recently, it's been said that 11 Russian intelligence officers had hacked into DNC servers. They had taken some sensitive information, allegedly passed it to Julian Assange, who later published that information. And despite Julian Assange himself having denied any of this countless times in numerous appearances, it seems this is still a prevalent understanding in Washington, so that's why they want to talk to him about it. But Julian Assange has made his position clear a handful of times.
Our source is not the Russian government, and it is not a state party. This is something a 14-year-old kid could have hacked. So the actor that they've tried to bring in is the Russian intelligence services. Hillary Clinton stated multiple times, falsely, that 17 US intelligence agencies had assessed that Russia was the source of our publications. Okay. That's false.
Well, so now with WikiLeaks legal team saying Assange would not be against talking to them, we might be able to get some more information in terms of Assange setting the record straight when it comes to the investigation being carried out by this U.S. Intelligence Senate Committee.
That was 2 hours ago. And 1 hour ago.
What do you make of this then? Why do you think senators are still calling for Assange to testify over these claims of Russian meddling, even though he's repeatedly denied any links to the Kremlin?
Yeah, it is kind of puzzling why they would want Julian Assange to testify in these hearings. His previous statements all pretty much refute the official story in the United States establishment, in the U.S. media, and the Democratic establishment. So there's two problems.
I'm not going to play the entire video, but we can see there's one direction of a narrative that can be drawn from this. So, let's see, we got some Bitcoin news there. A lot of, this Google, so kind of pays attention to things that I look up or look into. That's pretty significant there. I've spoken about the F-22 and F-35, and I don't even have to go into this, but I've got my own suspicions about what actually happened here, and that's because these vehicles are not ready. Really? That's it. Nah, not for you, scum. A woman gave herself an abortion on an airplane. The New York Post reported on a sick couple sentenced for selling videos of them sexually abusing the son. What the fuck? And I'll leave y'all with this.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez believes she won that district in New York because she's a socialist and a liberal. No one really wanted her in that district because he had to propose himself as a moderate. It makes you wonder if her message is resonating. I'll tell you what, she's certainly getting a lot of fame, and we're learning more about her.
Yeah, and she's got some ideas about saving America. Here's what she said most recently.
A lot of these folks were in their political heyday in third way 90s politics. And they were campaigning, and they were really kind of connected most to an electorate when they were fighting for these seats, when they got these seats, when they were campaigning most, when we had more of an American middle class. And so I think that politically, this like upper middle class is probably more moderate. But that upper middle class doesn't exist anymore in America.
Well, that's the problem. Keep in mind, she in the past has said, look, the reason unemployment is so low is because people have 2 or 3 jobs and they're working 70 or 80 hours per week, which a number of fact finders found as a pants on fire lie. But when you look at what she just said, that the upper middle class is gone, look at this. In 1979, it was at 12.9%, if we could put up the graphic. And today, the middle class has grown, as you can see, more than double that number from that many years ago. She also went out of her way to put down Democrats. Joe Manchin in a tough fight and Senator Menendez in a tough fight, Democrats in their states. She says, we need better champions for the working class. Hey, thanks. Appreciate it. If you're a Democrat, you're like, wow, I lost my fastball, time has passed me by, and I'm not good for the working class. Yeah. Thanks for being in my corner.
There are 2 Democratic parties right now that we're seeing. It's Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and then the guy that we just mentioned,
Cory
O'Connor.
in that lane too.
Well,
he seems way to the left.
He wasn't. Cory Booker is now there because he wants to run in 2020, and he feels the only way to get through the primary process is if you appeal to that very far left-wing voter. My whole thing is, if you want to actually win the general election, is that the right strategy? You look at O'Connor, as we were talking about, this 31-year-old in that 12th district in Ohio. His strategy was running more to the middle. Yeah. There is this big middle in this country that often gets missed. And the Democrats, if they run all the way to the left, good luck winning a national election.
But they got to get off that stage. Like Donald Trump got off the stage as number.
Oh, anyone could be a politician. Anyone can be a politician. I was just ahead of the curve. I've been ahead of the curve. Knowledge is my pain. Be safe, be kind, stay strong, love y'all, and stay motivated, y'all.